I'm about to start tearing this thing down to do my build on it. And I just wanted to have a word, because people wonder why Japanese car makers really, really creamed the U.S. car makers in the 80s and late 70s. And this right here is why. You see this ridiculous abortion here. We ran into a combination of things. The people talk about the emissions regulations, but it wasn't really that. It was the collision of things like this here. This is all vacuum equipment, engine vacuum, all these hoses, things like that, does this, that, the other thing. The fetish that U.S. automakers had with using engine vacuum for everything, from actuating like HVAC controls to flip of headlights to, anything. All the emissions equipment was engine vacuum. All of the cruise control was engine vacuum. Everything. Transmission kickdown was engine vacuum. Not on Chrysler. Chrysler just had a nice little lever, but engine vacuum. And if any of that vacuum stuff went bad, your engine would run like shit. And then we have to match all this emissions equipment that's just kludged onto these motors. And it was a fucking mess. And yeah, I mean, you look at this. It's like, okay, we got PCV. All right, that's cool. All right. We got our vacuum advance. Okay, that's cool. That makes good sense. And then, oh wait, we've got a vacuum line. Where does this go? Oh, let's see. Let's chase this around in here. Oh dear, there's a hook 'em up here. And where does that go? Oh, that goes here to coolant. So there's a coolant sensor that is a mechanical thing that switches engine vacuum. Oh, so where does the other end of it go? Oh yeah, around here to this thing. What the fuck does this do? I don't fucking know. I don't know what this is, or how this works. I mean, I see this thing here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vacuum ports. We've got a vacuum T here that splits it off into 2 more. Where does this go? This isn't even hooked to anything. It used to be hooked to something. Probably this on the carburetor. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. And I think a lot of stuff like that is also kind of why stuff like this thermoquad here got such a bad reputation. Like the polymer bowl so that the fuel doesn't boil inside of it. Well, that's interesting. Don't know how well they last. If that bowl is not cracked, I'm actually going to try to use this for something. Probably, it's not going to be this, because I need 2 carburetors for my setup here, which I'll get to in just a little bit. But by all intents and purposes, this, just like the Quadrajet, and in fact, this is a little better than the Quadrajet. Greater fuel bowl capacity, greater airflow, except the high-performance Quadrajets. The high-performance Q-Jets had like 800 some odd CFM. These are, I think, 850 from the factory, if I remember correctly. And this is out of an RV motor. And but there's a bunch of other fuckery on this thing. Like, here's another vacuum switch. What does this switch? I don't fucking know. Where does this? Well, it hooked up to something. I mean, I think that's what that is, because it's attached to the throttle shaft. And then it's just, EGR valve run by engine vacuum. And I know that kind of continued on into the later years too, but it's just infuriating. Keep it simple, stupid. But they didn't have the money or the time or resources to redesign it to work right from the beginning. So everything's kludged together with vacuum lines. No, we can't just use solenoids and, electrical. No, we can't do that. Gosh, no. Then you could troubleshoot it with a multimeter. We can't have that. Instead, we need, if anything breaks, your entire engine starts running like crap. Like here, this is a solid vacuum line that went to, I don't know, something. And then it's just embarrassing. But anyway, this is going to get simplified good and properly, and probably when I'm done with the design I have in mind, I'll bet you this will probably have better emissions than the original car did, which would be hilarious. But we'll see. That'd be a funny video to do, actually put a sniffer on it. That's not something that we do here in North Carolina. It's typically just OBD2. And then, of course, checking to see if everything's present. And, of course, the car this is going into is not emissions controlled at all. But, yeah, I'm going to see what we can do with that. And like I said, I want to try and if this thing is not cracked or damaged in any way, I'm going to try to reuse it. And if it is cracked, I have an idea. I may patch up any cracks, any damage to this, kind of smooth it out. Take a silicone mold of that polymer body and get in touch with Smooth On to get some, to get either a urethane or some other kind of resin that will withstand ethanol and gasoline and methanol and whatever else you might run through it, and build replacement bodies for these, because I don't believe anybody does that. And with the silicone molds and a 2-part resin, I can do that without losing the dimensional stability. But that's going to be for a later date. First thing first is to get this thing running with the twin turbos, which I'm going to kind of go through for you guys here once I've got this stripped and I've started mocking things up. So stay tuned for that, and rant over.